The Pentagon has billions of dollars in a use-it-or-lose-it fund for operations and maintenance. The ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee, Mac Thornberry, would like to let the department roll over some of that money from year to year. Lieutenant General Tom Spoehr, U.S. Army, retired as director of the Center for National Defense at the Heritage Foundation. Tom, thanks very much for coming on. You have a new issue brief out about this, but this is not a new issue to you and your colleagues at Heritage. Why is this something? Is there something about the timing of Congressman Thornberry's amendment, or something going on budget-wise with the department, or something else that you are talking about this issue again?
Yeah, thank you, Francis. The timing is right. They're working on the National Defense Authorization Act, and they're also working on the Defense Appropriations Act for 2021. And so if this is going to succeed, these next couple of weeks are the only time that it's possible for the Congress to make this change to allow these operations and maintenance funds to last more than 1 year, which is what they do now. On October 1st of every year, this money turns into pixie dust and can't be used by the department. That creates all kinds of bad behaviors.
What are some of the bad behaviors that you've seen or that the department itself has even documented over the years, Tom?
Yeah, and so starting around July, in the Department of Defense at all levels, there's an enormous pressure to spend all the money that you have been given. And so you start getting messages from your higher headquarters saying, why isn't your spending at this appropriate level? And as the time goes on, as weeks pass, the pressure increases. And as the year goes on, the fiscal year, procurement offices, contracting offices become more and more jammed as people try and flood those offices trying to get this money spent. And that contributes to a number of bad decisions. You know, it's just like if you went to a store and someone told you you only had 10 minutes to buy what you needed, you'd probably make some bad decisions. And that's what happens in the Department of Defense.
And in that context, Tom, I might not make bad decisions that I was happy about, but I might feel obligated to do it just because I knew that money would disappear. What's different about the department from other agencies that have the ability to roll this money over? You cite the Justice Department in your work. I've read reports Homeland Security also has accounts that they can roll over from year to year. Why isn't this something that the Defense Department can do?
Yeah, and so it is every year in the appropriations bill, Congress requires that operations and maintenance money is only good for 1 year fiscal year, is expiring on 1 October. And so other departments, and I don't know why, have been given more flexibility. I think Congress feels an especial need to give the Department of Defense a lot of oversight, a lot of help spending its money. And so thus far, they've been relatively reluctant to grant any measure of relief and flexibility on these funds.
Some recommendations that you and your colleagues make in this report. The first one is authorization to carry over 5% of the money to next fiscal year. Why is 5% the right number, and what difference would that make, Tom?
Yeah, I don't know that 5% is the exact right number, but usually it's the last couple of months the DOD is just struggling to spend the last 1 or 2 or 3% of their operations and maintenance funds. And so if they can get that small measure of relief, and it would equal about $14 billion for the whole DOD, that would take a lot of the pressure off, because usually people are close by the end of the year. They're within 90+% of spending all their money. That last 5%, if they could carry it over and they had the knowledge that it would not go away and turn to nothing, would be a huge relief for the Department of Defense.
I'm quoting here on this recommendation, Tom, Congress should further require the DOD to report on the efficacy of this authorization as it considers whether to make this exception permanent. What would you like to see in that report? What information would be most useful for Congress to determine whether the execution fulfilled the intent?
Yeah, and so reports at all levels from leadership about whether or not they're able to make better financial decisions with this relief. I mean, you ask anybody from the captain in the Army all the way up, the pressure they feel starting is just enormous. And so they're making decisions just in order to get their higher headquarters off their back about spending. And so if Congress could see that this is having, a positive effect on the DOD, I think that would mean a lot. And I think in the end, the Pentagon and the American taxpayer would be better for it, because we'd be getting better more effective decisions.
Less than a minute left, Tom. You note in this report that Congress has been apprehensive about this in the past. Do you think because of Congressman Thornberry's push this year that there is a better prognosis potentially?
This is the best chance I have seen in years of anything like this getting through. So I would like to see that, Congressman Thornberry asked for 50% of the O&M funds. That's too high, and then Congress won't be willing to relinquish that high an amount. But I think a smaller amount, maybe 5%, maybe even just as a test program, would go a long way to making our DoD more efficient.
Tom, great to have you on as always. Thanks very much for your insight.
Thank you, Francis.